Greetings, fellow cooks. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Bellwright, Episode 5, Hearty Meals. What am I doing? I'm trying to make better food. But as a regular to the channel, I think you know the priorities are in my head. So that's probably not what you were asking. There's spoiled food in the chest. Don't know if that's good to keep or not. I mentioned this at the start of the stream that you should always keep spoiled food. Because you can turn it into fertilizer, and fertilizer is worth a whole lot of money. Alright, so the mud collector and shovel are done. I don't actually intend to build that. It was just a prerequisite to get the water collector. Because I'm not going to be able to make stews without the water collector. And the water collector requires 2 logs. Which I just so happen to have already. And then a whole bunch of more stone. Which I think Lubomir is going out to go collect. We have some stone in these chests already, so I'll move what we do have in. And then what I'm intentionally doing, what I might actually want to do now is this chest be for food rations. And then all the other chests not be. And the reason for that is if we stack food, it spoils slower. So in keeping all of our food in one designated chest, we can help to stave off spoilage. A little bit. Not much, but a little bit. So this requires rope. And rope is flax and hemp. And this one requires, so 3 rope and 3 rope, so I need 6 rope total. I can also tell Lubomir to do it too. To make rope until we have 10. Because he's already made 10 cords, so I can have him start making rope. Now that also means that we need hemp for the rope, because we don't have enough hemp in storage for him to start making rope. And because I don't have a forger hut, I don't automatically collect hemp. But that's something I can easily do myself. It's not too hard to grab some hemp so that he can start making ropes for the cauldron and the rack. And then this is the ting ingot, which I hadn't fired fully, and wood. At any point, you can, if you're like 99% of the way done making a tin ingot and you stick in copper, it will make bronze. As long as the ingredients are there during the completion of an item, it creates said item. For better or for worse. So sometimes it's annoying because you're like, oh, I didn't want bronze. I actually just wanted tin, and you stick copper in thinking it's finished. But figured I'd mention that. Man, I need young trees. I'm like running out of sticks. It's a weird problem to have. I don't yet have the a way to turn logs into sticks. And I don't think it's all that important of a tech to get early on, because you can just run around and collect sticks. Manually cutting logs into sticks is something that is probably best delegated towards for villagers to do, rather than the player. Almost done reading the crafting book, and that will probably bring me up to crafting level 2, which will allow me to make linen. be nice. Are those? Who are you? Oh, they're brigands. So brigands are like bandits working for Lord Ashbourne, the person that controls the land, and they're not initially hostile to you, whereas bandits are hostile to you and will fight you. So you don't necessarily have to worry about brigands until you piss them off intentionally. I'll put it that way. I might make the rope myself, rather than to wait for Lubomir to do it. I have enough rope for... I don't have enough hemp for all of it, but I have enough hemp for at least the smoking. Are brigands the mafia? Yes. Basically, yes. At the start of the stream, I read through some of the game lore, but essentially, the lowlands and the highlands have fallen to ruin under the tyrannical rule of Queen Osen, evil Queen Osen, and her lackey, Lord Ashbourne, rules these lands with an iron fist, taxing people into oblivion and ruining the local economy and impoverishing everyone. And he hires essentially thugs to keep everyone in check. So all of the villagers around here are controlled by the brigands who are employed by Lord Ashbourne to keep the people poor and sad. It's kind of the whole story of the game. So that's enough rope to get the smoker up and running, which is good. And then once the smoker, water collector, and cauldron are done, I can have you guys vote on what to work on. I just wanted some basic food production first. Because being starving kind of sucks. So one of the nice things to smoke here is mushrooms. Because they have pretty good stats, and it's really easy to collect a hell of a lot of mushrooms. So it's a good staple for the player to rely upon, I would say. And doing some of the... Oh, I am already crafting level 2, because I can now make linen. So as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to make myself a quiver so I can free up 6 spaces in my inventory, not having to carry a stack of arrows. Queen Curiosity, thank you for the resub. And Velhar as well, and a bunch of other people I missed. Sorry about missing it. And did the tin... Yep, the tin got made too. Sweet. So here, you can see the recipes that this basic cauldron can make. Berry jam. So the stats that we're getting out of this, like 40 stamina, compare that to the meat at 33 or the mushrooms at 12. Big change. Mushroom stew, fine stews. Fine stews are just... That's kind of your bread and butter for a long time. And that's with like one of any meat, a mushroom, a garlic, and water. And then fish and meat stew as well. Fine stews give you a combat attribute bonus, which is really nice to have to make your, like all of your combat attribute, like movement speed, draw speed, that kind of stuff better. You can't manage the smoking rack in the same way, which is unfortunate, because what ends up happening is if you allow... So in this case, I'm going to say smoking rack, not ever used by NPCs, because what they'll do is they'll smoke all of the meat that you have, so that you can't make stews, which is kind of annoying. But I have a bunch of meat that's about to spoil, so I'm going to stick it on the smoking rack. Because once it's on the smoking rack, it won't spoil. To keep it from spoiling. So we'll get that smoking up. And I might as well get some mushroom smoking up too, because smoked mushrooms is actually a pretty good food source. The game is it takes longer to like smoke foods, but it's a bit more permissive about when it burns. On the open campfire, things burn kind of quickly. On the smoker, it takes a while to burn, which is nice. So one way to prep for winter is to get the smoking rack up early and just like smoke a whole bunch of mushrooms. That will keep you pretty well fed. Do I recommend the game in the current state? Honestly, I do. I'm actually kind of surprised, my 2 cents, that its rating on Steam is where it's at. There is some issues with the game, but by no means do I think it warrants the high 70s rating that it has. It's a lot of fun. It has issues, but it is a lot of fun. I haven't played the game cooperatively, but I imagine that it's probably pretty fun in co-op as well. Alright, smoking rack is full. And I can actually start to work on fine stew here too, although I don't have the meat because I just smoked all my meat. So I'll put my mushrooms away for now. But, yeah, fine stew is kind of like, generally like what you're going to eat a lot of. It's relatively easy to make. And so I need 5 linen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means I need 10 reeds and 10 flax. And that's for the quiver. Here's 10 flax. And here's 12 reeds. Let's put 2 of these away. There will be a sizzling noise once this stuff is done. So here's smoked mushrooms, 28 health, 15 stamina. Really easy to source in high quantities. Which is why I like it. Because your villagers can just provide a ton of it constantly. Meats are a little bit harder. You can do trapping. As I said, trapping's pretty worthless in the game. You're not going to get high volume of anything through trapping. So if you want to provide meat for your villagers, you're going to need hunting, but hunting requires you to have a regular supply of arrows, and a regular supply of arrows means you're going to need to have a regular supply of flax and a regular supply of wood to make said arrows. So foraging for berries and mushrooms is a lot easier to do to keep your villagers fed than providing meat, at least early game. Plus, berries spoil really fast. Now, eventually you get the ability to dry out berries to let them keep for longer, but that's not something you get at Tier 1. So, for Tier 1 foods, smoked mushrooms and smoked meats is really, really good. Because I do not advise relying on buying NPC foods regularly to supply your villagers, because they're going to eat you out of house and home. The NPCs eat as much as the player eats, so each additional NPC, if you're having to buy your own foods, oh man, you'll be bankrupt pretty quick. Now you want smoked mushrooms and venison? It made me want to try to smoke mushrooms. Oh, there's all the meat ready to go. Nice. 7 stacks of smoked meat, and I'm just going to fill the smoker with mushrooms now. Now, NPCs will not manually eat like raw foods. Like they're not going to pick up a turnip from your food chest and like just munch a turnip. That's like not how they're designed. So keep that in mind as well. It's like you're going to need some processed foods, whether by smoking or cooking, because they're not going to eat raw foods. And the only foods that they would eat raw, like, well, they would eat berries, I suppose, but like apples, for instance, apples aren't easily found. All right, so I have the linen for this. I just need 2 simple cords, and there should be, oops, wrong chest. There should be simple cords right here. Done. And now I can make a quiver. You can also repair your items too. So if I wanted to repair my my axe for 3 wood and 1 stone, I could repair the simple axe that it's almost broken. Whereas crafting it fresh is going to cost twice as many resources. And when your villagers break their tools, they will put their tools in workbenches and queue up repair tasks. So tools will get repaired automatically for the most part. And in a recent update, your villagers also have an extra slot for weapons. Before that, they would typically just drop their tools on the ground when they needed a weapon, and then the tools would despawn, but now they do a lot less of that, which is nice. They will store their tools and carry a weapon to prevent the weapons from, or the tools from being spoiled. The reason I mention that is because they repair their own tools. Don't queue up bills like make shovel until we have 5, because what will end up happening is you'll make 5 shovels, and then as soon as someone equips one, you'll make a 6th shovel. As soon as someone equips another one, you'll make a 7th shovel. You know, it gets to be unruly. It's best to just make a certain number of tools and then keep them repaired, so that you don't end up making like 100 shovels and you're like, oh my god, why do I have these many? Yeah, it's because you queued them all up, which is a big mistake. Alright, so we have a pretty decent amount of smoked mushrooms now, which we'll keep for the winter. And because I've intentionally kept the population of our hovel low, I don't need a ton of food. One of the reasons why I haven't gone around recruiting people, which is something I'll eventually do, is until I have the infrastructure to actually feed them, it's more cumbersome than it is worth, in my opinion. You'll just be constantly scrambling of like, oh my god, they're starving, and have to like run around hunt for them manually, and that sort of sucks. I'm gonna repair my axe, and then what do we need for the water collector? More stone. So I need 9 stone to repair the axe and research the water collector. So once I have the water collector, I'll poll you guys about what to do next. I'm also gonna need stone to build the water collector, so it's not just 9 stone, it's like get as much stone as I can get. Is there agriculture? Yes. There are farms that you can build, and they're very important. Very important. Mostly because certain resources like wheat and cotton are very hard to come by in high quantities and very beneficial for the player to farm them. So yeah, you absolutely should farm in this game. No question. I do have some complaints about farming, but I'll get to those once I actually build a farm. There are some notes that I have. More or less, the notes come down to certain tasks, like making items, you can queue up as do until you have X, Y, or Z. And then certain things is a lot harder to do that. It's possible to do that with farming, but like, it's not just farming, it's also hunting and a lot of other tasks where like, you have to micromanage them a little bit more. So like, if I want 5 arrows to be in the stockpile at all times, that's very easy for the game to do. I can just be like, hey, craft until there's 5 arrows in the boxes. No problem. If I wanted to say something like, hunt until we have 10 raw meat, there is no easy way to do that. It has to be managed by the player to turn the hunting camps on and off. So certain things like farming and hunting, your NPCs will just do kind of forever until you create artificial bottlenecks. So like for farming, for instance, I said I would get into it when I got there, but I'll just say now. For farming, for instance, like let's say we set up a farm field of cotton. They're going to keep farming cotton until they run out of seeds. And in some instances, you'll end up with like just so much cotton. You're just like, oh my God, I have 1,000 cotton. What the hell am I going to do with this? And I kind of wish that farms would allow you to set a maximum. Now you can set an artificial maximum by not allowing cotton in any boxes but one box, and then limiting the amount of cotton in that box. And what they'll do is they'll leave the cotton in the farm fields unharvested until there's room in the box for it to limit the amount of cotton that you farm. But I just wish it was more obvious and easier for the player to like do that without that kind of management, is all I mean. Because if you're a new player, what you're going to do is you're going to start farming and you're going to like put potatoes in your farm fields. And then very quickly you're going to end up with 400 potatoes. And you're going to be like, holy crap, what do I do with 400 potatoes? They're filling all my boxes and I don't know what to do with them. And no one wants to buy them. That's what I mean by like, I wish it was a little bit easier. All right. Lubomir, what are you doing? Are you taking a leak? Kind of looks like you're taking a leak. But like the research bench is free to go. What are you doing? Waiting for employment? Okay, I'm going to reset his brain because it seems like he's not using it. Oh, you know what? I can't make you a companion. Oh, you're hungry and you don't know where to eat. Alright, I'm going to feed him manually. He's a driveling idiot, apparently. So he's not working because he needs food, but he's not finding the food for some reason. So I'll just give him food. There you go, Lubomir. Now get to work. Now, as you see, he's wounded. He's not actually wounded. It's just that I fed him up a whole bunch of food, and it added to his maximum HP. So that's why it looks like he's totally effed up. It's just because he's well fed now. You get to work, dude? Okay. The simpleton is not working. I am going to build a mud collector. Because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the water collector requires mud to build. Not to research, but to build. Okay, Lubomir, follow me. Now get to work. Yeah, that's what I meant by resetting his brain. He was just stuck. They don't get stuck very often. So if you're like, oh my god, that looks miserable, no, it really doesn't happen very often. So there's a mud spot quite a bit distant south of us. And I'm going to want to build a mud spot. Before I build a mud spot, I'm also going to want a shovel. Because you can't get mud without a shovel. In fact, I don't even need a mud collection spot. I really only need a shovel. So current priority right now is build a shovel and a small water collector. So for the shovel, I need copper. There is... okay, there we go. So now I have the water collector. So, was I right about the water collector? It requires mud and logs. Lubomir. Do whatever. I don't really need to do anything. So let's go find some copper. There are random spots on the map, like here, that will have copper that you could just find. Little spoiler, there's a lot of copper east of Herndine, which is where I'm going to head to. But generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, ores... Oh, and I should also get a spare piece of food, because my mushroom will run through. Generally speaking, if you head to the mountains, you're going to find the resources that the mountains have for you. So... if you're like, oh my god, I don't know where copper or tin is, just the giant mountains in the distance, yeah, that's where you'll find copper or tin. And then iron and granite you'll find down south, where it's more difficult. So, up that hill, is where I'm going to head. Other things to look for when you're exploring out in the wilderness. Birds circling around usually means that there's a point of interest in an area. Pillars of smoke can be... So those are like bird circles right there. It probably means it's like a wolf den, I'd imagine. So if I wanted to fight a whole bunch of wolves, that's where I would go. And I do have a task to hunt wolves. So if I wanted to, I could head to where those birds, the birds of prey, are circling to find wolves. But that's not what I'm working on right now. But there's a lot of points of interest, and like I know of probably most, if not almost all of them, having played before. So I don't want to really ruin it and be like, go here, go there, you know. Explore around, find them on your own. So here's Lubomir's old camp. It's too bad I couldn't just like transport his cauldron. As you can see, it's not owned by me, so I can't dismantle it for resources or anything like that. And we'll poke about the... I should go a little bit more north. We'll poke about east of Rhadamant for copper. There we are. These greenstone is copper. Now, until I have a mining pick, I'm going to be restricted to just the copper I can find on the ground. But there will be enough of it to get by. So I don't need tons of it for a shovel and and bronze and things like that. In fact, what I have right now is probably fine. And it leaves, because there are copper stones to be mined, it will leave this little symbol on the ground. Or on the map. Make it easier to find it. Let's see. Attributes. I should, the other thing that I would suggest is, and I've not been doing a good job of, so here's like a pillar of smoke. And if I open up the map, that pillar of smoke is probably this bandit, excuse me, bandit encampment. But not all, only the bandit encampments and, are marked, and towns are marked on your map, but there's a lot of other, points of interest too. So I'm going to head towards one of them. Because I was about to finish saying, attempt to always be reading books. Especially strength and agility books. Because the stronger and more agile you are, the better you'll be in combat, and the longer you'll be able to run and all that stuff. So, here's a pagan shrine. Do they suffer as we suffer, or did they laugh at our plight? Hear us, almighty gods. We dedicate ourselves to earning your continued blessings of prosperity. We pray you'll accept what we have to offer, no matter how meager. And, yep, I am looting the offering box. So this gave me a laborer's book. Laboring is not something that, that you, the player, can do. So I'm going to teach this to Lubomir again. Like that. And it also gave me an old coin. Old coins from the age before tyranny of Carvania. Gifting them to elders will increase the villagers' trust in you. So you can earn old coins. Typically you get old coins from completing quests or from clearing bandit camps. Those are the ways you get most of the coins that you're going to find. And you can give them to elders to increase your reputation with the town. So like Rhadamant, I have trust 50 out of 100 towards associate. And there's stranger, associate, friend, protector, and Bellwright. There's 5 levels of relationship. Bellwright's the maximum. And the purpose of it is that protector, you have the... this gets to a little bit later in the game mechanics. At protector, you can start to kick off a quest chain to liberate the town. And at Bellwright, you've hit maximum. Some people in town will only join your cause if you've liberated the town. Typically the people with professions. So if I wanted to add... so Rhadamant, for instance, has blacksmiths, weavers, and farmers. So if I wanted to add a farmer to my settlement, I would need to liberate Rhadamant of its brigands. And then I'd be given the chance to recruit the blacksmiths, weavers, and farmers from Rhadamant. But the individuals will also have a certain reputation level and a certain renown requirement. So if I found like a really good farmer, they might be like, I want you to be a protector or Bellwright of the town, and for the town to be liberated, and for you to have at least 2,000 renown before I join you. So there's the liberation status, your reputation status, and the amount of renown that you have that are the 3 requirements to add people. Do I need to turn your brain off on again? Oh, you're just looking for employment. Because we don't have enough flax for the rope. I got it. Okay, so I was trying to make a shovel, so let's go ahead and get some copper ingot. I also got grilled fish from the offering chest, which I will eat next. And then for me to make a water collector, the water collector should be placed as close to the... I'm going to place it here so it's not blocking me. But pretty close to the cauldron, because you need water for the cauldron. And this requires 3 logs. So I can hew those up. I'm actually surprised Lumimir is not going to pick up the logs himself to build it. Here's the copper and wood I need for this shovel. Eventually I'm going to want my villagers collecting mud automatically to make, like, high volumes of cob, which is a building material for a lot of the tier 2 buildings. But at least for now, to make just a one-off water collector, I can collect the... I'm probably going to want 2 water collectors. I can collect the 20 mud required for that. That's not much of a problem. And the shovel is the same slot as the bow, so I'll put the bow away for now. So yeah, I have a quiver and a shovel. That makes a lot of sense, right? So I'll collect the mud first, and then the logs. I am heading... Here's a mud spot. Just pretty much straight south from where I am. Question for you all. What to do after getting water collectors? I could quest with Rhadamant, quest with the local elder. I could set up automated logging and forging, or start researching armor and weapons. I'll let you choose between those 3. So, 5 minutes on the poll in the top right. It's also, I hadn't mentioned, but brigands and bandits don't cooperate with one another. The brigands are local thugs working for the Lord. The bandits are just bandits. So brigands and bandits will kill one another. So if you're being chased by a bunch of bandits and you're like, oh god, they're gonna kill me, you can run into a town where the brigands are and have the brigands kill them. So brigands aren't initially hostile to the player and will fight bandits. But it's also worth mentioning that if you aren't the one that kills the bandits, you are not privy to the gear, the loot. So if the brigands kill the bandits, you can't loot the dead bandits. Same is true of wolves and boars. If you don't get the kill, you don't get the loot. If you get the killing blow, it counts.
Don't try anything stupid.
Yeah, well, you're stupid too, dude. But that could be a little tricky, because if you, like, shoot an arrow at a boar that's about to be killed by the brigands, and you hit the brigand, well, the brigands aren't going to take too kindly to being hit by your arrow. Okay, inventory's full. Let's get back to base. Oh, wandering a bit too close to that bandit camp. I don't think I'm going to be a shovel knight able to kill them all. Now look at this idiot. He don't even know how to walk. That's a tree, dude. You're walking into a tree. Okie dokie. Let's put the shovel away. Right-clicking on anything in the camp chest will equip it. So if I right-click the shovel, or the bow, I'll put the bow on and put the shovel away. It's also helpful for me to start reading more books, so let's read another archery book. And I am going to need to repair my axe. I'll use it up and then repair it. Chonk. Thank you for tuning in to Bellwright, which originally streamed live on Twitch May 25th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, viewers that turned out to the Marathon's live stream, and also viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow Bellwrights.